afternoon, and welcome. Welcome indeed to another edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast. As we're always broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Yes, take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. And this fine gentleman's going to join me today to talk some sports here on the Space Coast. He does a great job with Pressbox Overtime. His name is Bill. He's a great guy. Bill, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, brother. We're living the dream. I've got my other screen over here. We're about 13 or 14 hours from 17 college football games tomorrow, a day we didn't think would ever come. So I got my snacks. I'm all ready, and football's here.
All right. Before we get into actual sports questions, I have two.
Okay.
For our viewers and listeners,
right?
It's Macheras, correct? The last name.
It's a good Greek name. I always used to say that C is in there for confusion. I wish it was spelled like the actor George Macheras back in the day, but you are correct. It is Macheras.
And then number two, for all the ladies out there, are you rocking the Hogan mustache? What's going on?
So I got to tell you, when you have this, wherever it grows, you got to do something with it. So I told my wife, I still substitute teach every now and then. I don't know what it is. Kids like it. And I said, man, I should have put that on 35 years ago. So,
are you ever like me where you go the full beard, or is it just that?
I do every now and then. We're getting ready to go out to Idaho. My son serves proudly in the Air Force. Sometimes I put on the winter look, but I usually come down to this. Like they say, it's funny. Less makes me look a little bit younger. I got probably 30 years on you. So
I like it. I do. All right. Tell us about, I know you have a great background here in Brevard County with the school systems. We'll get that in a second. But
Sure.
Tell us about Pressbox Overtime, what you guys are all about.
So a labor of love, as you know, and some of the people, I grew up here in Cocoa. So, got a lot of people that I know. My last 4 years at the school district, I was blessed enough to serve as the first athletic director for the county. Now we got a great young man, Kevin Robinson, doing a fantastic job, came over from Cocoa Beach Junior Senior High. It's been 5 years since I retired already. And so I started posting a lot of stuff on social media, sports, and I thought, let me just do my own thing, just, here locally, so Pressbox Overtime started out on Facebook. We reached 700 viewers now. It's just a spot that, hopefully,
look at that. Look at that. You're so busy. People are trying to get hold of you. All right, go on, man.
Wait, I think it was solar panels.
Yeah.
So, like I say, it's mainly local people, and I do, whether it's usually college and high school, but anything breaking sports, I put on there. And I got a Twitter account, I got Instagram, I got a YouTube channel. We're not one of the big guys, but Doug Cook, a good friend of mine who's also a retired administrator, used to be the head coach at my alma mater, Cocoa High School Tigers, back in the 80s, made it to the regional final 1 year. We love what we do. And I'll be honest with you, I've got so much respect for people like yourself and Alan and Orville and Steve. Even when I do a game, it takes me like 2.5 hours because, you want to make sure you got it right. I like to do my research. I like to find some things that maybe somebody else won't talk about. You guys do it every day. I don't know how you do it, but we do some live stream games. We got some hopefully coming up this school year. I've done some interviews. Maybe try to get back and doing a show once a week, but it's a labor of love. Again, I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube channel. And we just have fun, and whatever we do, we want to do it right.
Yeah. You've done in the past, cause I've watched your stuff. You do a great job. You've done like a high school football game, or you've done basketball. You've done, like a peewee level type sports. That's why I like calling it for the kids. And then I think the last time I talked to you on the phone, you guys did in the spring, it was like high school girls flag football. You were doing that.
Yeah, it's once I saw that was here, we were blessed that I think we put the first girls flag football, on live stream. Mel High and West Shore had a team. I think this year you're going to see 4 or 5 more teams added. We were blessed that we did the first girls volleyball middle school championship at Vieira Middle School. So, we checked a few boxes. Again, we're not Morgan and Morgan. We're not the biggest, but whatever we put out there, hopefully with Doug and I, he's got a lot more coaching experience than I do, but we want to do it right. We love what we do. I love working with Doug. I think we got a nice banter back and forth, and we just like to talk about other things than just the game we're watching. I don't like dead time. I don't like, a commercial time. And you know what, Doug and I, you put a mic in front of us, we're not going to shy away.
How many years did you work in the school system here in Brevard County then?
So it was my second career. I was in retail management for, probably 20 years. My last stop was Office Depot. That's a tough life, 7 days a week. Sometimes, somebody calls in sick, I got to go in and fill in. And I thought it was time for a change. So at 41 years old, 42, we were living in South Florida. I said, no better place to raise my kids or to get a job in education than Brevard. Moved back up here, started teaching in 2001, got 19 years in. I taught a couple years elementary. God bless elementary school teachers. I got to do one subject alone. I'm not going to lie to you. When it came to reading circles, yeah, that was just not
for you.
I was hoping for like maybe a fire drill, but I got 19 years in, did some administration at the middle school level. And then again, very blessed that I got to serve as a county athletic director as my last stop before I hung up the clipboard.
What year did you graduate from Cocoa? I'll put you on the spot. As a student, when did you do it?
Spirit of 76, brother. We got 50 years coming up next year. How about that?
Are you going to go the 50-year anniversary? You going to do this?
How do you not go? I've already got some of my buddies. We've started talking a little bit about it. And, Cocoa, I was telling somebody yesterday, you got to remember, back in the 70s, there weren't as many high schools here in Brevard County. So even for Cocoa High School, we had 2,000 students. I think now they're down to about 12 or 1,300. You got Space Coast. Now you got where you can go to any school you want to go to. But it's funny, Mark. Brevard County, even now, it's a small community. Everybody knew somebody that was related to somebody's brother, sister, uncle. So even though there was 2,000, my dad happened to work at Cocoa High School too. That's where he retired from as a teacher. It was just a great place to grow up. And, it's a special place. My son went to Rockledge High School. I got to tell you, the first time I had to write that quarterback, booster club check, I got little chills, but I worked it out. Then my daughter ended up going to Satellite. So we're spread all over the place. But 1976, 50 years next year.
How proud are you then, as a guy that loves sports, where your high school dominates at high school football, winning state titles?
A bunch of us went down to South Florida last year, watched the three in a row. Listen, kids need to get involved in anything. It's not just school. Of course, I'm a big sports guy, but I don't care if it's art, music, robotics. You got to get involved in something. And that brings a lot to your school. And this too. Look at college. Somebody wins a national championship, enrollment goes sky high the next year. But I really love that Florida. And, Cocoa, they got their track. They got my buddy James Rowe, state championship back 2004 or 5 in basketball. So, are they going to do 4 in a row? And the other question, though, is that gap between Cocoa and everybody else? Yeah, maybe get a little bit smaller, but you're right. Well, I'm proud of everything they do. Principal Miss Stewart does a great job up there, and just proud to be a Tiger.
I like you bring up that point about you did this motion about competitive balance. Yeah. I actually like, and I want your thoughts on this. I actually like that some of these other schools, Space Coast, Satellite, they decided we're going to go to this kind of other conference so that it's more competitive. And look, from a content standpoint, I don't want to just show up, oh, Coco's just better than everyone else. They don't even play the games. I actually like last Friday night, I know you saw some of these scores, one-possession games going to overtime. I want there to be exciting games on Friday night. I want that too. Right.
Yeah. And you bring up a really good point and something I wrote down that I'll tell you in just a second. But what is success? and I don't mean this in a negative way, and it's not just football, it's every sport. You got some schools that they're probably not ever going to win a state championship in that. And it's just, look, some of our high schools got 1,000 kids, some got 900. It's just, some got 2,200. Success to me is kids are having a good time. They feel like every game they're competitive. You got fans in the stands. And with the SSAA, Sunshine State Athletic Association, everybody makes the playoffs. Everybody kind of starts. We got Space Coast, Coach Owens up there doing a great job. State championship last year in the Atlantic Division. So, and those kids, listen, they still got an opportunity to play at the next level. So you don't have to be in the FHA. So to me, that's what success is. And we're seeing the satellite, Space Coast, Holy Trinity now, SSAA, Bayside. But success to me is kids are having a good time. Some might have an opportunity at the next level. Fans are coming to the game, filling the stands, and you're competitive. And you still can win a state title. So I love seeing that, and I'm glad that they have that opportunity to fulfill those areas. And to me, that's success.
That's very well said. I just want you to know, when I text coaches in the area, I don't write, hey, I'd love there to be more competitive balance. I don't write that.
Right.
I don't tell Coach Snyder or Coach Sands.
I hope it's close. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't do that. Dude, I'm very excited for this year. Do you feel like we might have multiple teams that have chances here to have great seasons?
Well, you got to remember 3 years ago, I think, maybe 4 years ago, it was either the first or second year Cocoa won their Merritt Island High School made the state championship. Hurley Brown was there. He's now at Holy Trinity. Coach Murray, who was, I think, his OC at the time, maybe DC, is now running the team. Coach saying, oh, golly. I mean, listen, they played a real tough Vero Beach team, but they went toe-to-toe with them. You got Heritage. Let me tell you something I looked up the other day. And I think this has a lot to do, in my opinion, with the success of not just football, but other sports. Astronaut High School, Logan Halleck, his late uncle, Randy Halleck, was the coach there, a legend. Heritage, Coach Benson from Bayside. Holy Trinity, Coach Brown from Merritt Island. Mel High, Merritt Island, Palm Bay, Rockledge, Titusville, all have head football coaches that went to school there. I mean, that tells you they went away to college. They came back because they knew Brevard was a special place. And now you're coaching these kids and say, hey, listen, I was there. I was wearing those shoulder pads. And to me, and that goes across the board in all sports that we have. A good friend of mine, Bess Scarborough, who just retired from Rockledge High School, 17 district or Cape Coast Conference girls tracks teams, and she's a Cocoa Tiger. So I think that has a lot to do, not just with the athletes we have in Brevard County, but the leadership that these men and women have come back home, and now they're working with that next generation.
Okay, who's going to win? I'm going to put you on the spot. All right, baby. All right, we're going to do this. Let me see if I could bring up. All right, Mark, you've done a great job getting ready for this. All right, do I have him? All right, I'm going to do this. This is the problem where I have to be my own producer. I got to bring up the actual. All right, let me see if I can do this. If I can bring it up. We're here with Bill. He does a great job with Pressbox Overtime. Can I bring it up if I remember what I named it as? Let's see if I can do this. Nope. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to bring up. All right, here we go. Mark, you did a great job getting this. All right, here's some of these games coming up on Friday night that are sexy.
Right.
Who do you like? Rockledge at O'Galley. O'Galley lost their quarterback. They're going to go to the backup. Who do you like in this game, Bill? Who do you like?
I like O'Galley. Again, Coach Holmes, 4-year letterman at West Virginia, graduate from Rockledge High School. That program is going to continue to go up. Vieira High School last week went for the 2-point conversion and beat them 22-21. So I kind of like O'Galley. Again, no knock on Rockledge, just O'Galley is strong. They're at home. Merritt Island, listen, went the distance. Got to give Coach Murray, all the, and you said it earlier, he went for a touchdown on 4th down. You're playing the 3-time defending champion. You're not going to win with the field goal. So I know Melbourne, I believe, beat Cocoa Beach. I like Merritt Island. Mainland, Merritt Island really that good. Coco's lost the last 2 Florida Players of the Year. So, you're not going to fill those. Mainland's going to be a tough haul, but I like the Tigers at home. Seminole. Ooh, Seminole's tough. Coach Benson, I'd probably, if I was going to flip a quarter, I'd maybe give a little nod to Seminole. Palm Bay at Bayside, again, you got Coach Mays back at Palm Bay graduate. Boy, I think that's a pick 'em. I might give a point or two to Bayside being at home.
I agree. I do.
Titusville lost last week, but again, you got Coach Diesel, another alumni from Titusville, Coach Brown at Holy Trinity. I kind of like Titusville at that. So I would say out of all those games, the only home teams that I might wiggle on would be Bayside and possibly Heritage. But again, some great matchups, and we're still early in the season.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I really like Melbourne at Merritt Island. I think that might be your best game. Maybe.
Yeah, right.
We didn't have Bill. I said this on Monday. I am not kidding around. I did not have on my bingo card Cocoa Merritt Island being the game of the night. I did not see that coming. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I don't know who it was. If it was some outside entity or so. Anyway, somebody posted, all the transfers, all the portals from the high school. I can't even keep up with them at college. So when you factor that in, and again, like Cocoa High School lost, probably could say two of the best players. Look at Boggs up at Florida State. He's going to be a starter. He's already listed as.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I want to bring this up to you. Okay. Imagine you're a true freshman. You are 18 years old. And they tell you on the depth chart, you're starting game one. Oh, again, like your Gators against Long Island. Oh no, Alabama. Can you? If you are Boggs?
Man,
what are you thinking the night before that game? What's going on in your mind?
I haven't met that young man, but I've seen a lot about him. Seen him on social media, etc. Listen, 3-time state champion. He's been in the big games. Gosh, his size. I mean, you look at the guy, you're like, can you just skip? Can you be a one and done? I think here he's ready. I think he's, he followed Gus from UCF to FSU. I don't know how he went past Gainesville, but that's another story. I don't think you're going to have to worry about him being ready mentally. And physically, and that's where a lot of the freshmen, you're 18 playing, 22, 23-year-olds sometimes. I think he's going to fit in. I still think Alabama's going to win that game. But you know what? It's one of those games, if Florida State looks good, and maybe in the fourth quarter they're still competitive. Listen, any coach would tell you, you don't want to walk away from a loss and go, oh, well, here's a learning thing. But they won 2 games last year. That would be a plus.
Look, this is the problem with college football. There's no preseason. So we have no idea. And I had an insider tell me Gus Malzahn put the kibosh on media seeing anything at Florida State. So we have no idea what we're going to see on Saturday. But I agree. Yeah. Look, it has to be better than 2 wins, whatever we see out there.
Yeah, and I looked, as I was just taking a quick look, I've got, ESPN, I got the poll up here, I got the schedule coming up. As I'm looking at the Florida games, there's questions on everything. FSU bouncing back from 2 wins. Miami, is the U back? 10 wins last year. They got Beck in there from Georgia. You got UF, my Gators, pretenders or, contenders. Lagway 6-1, UCF, Coach Frost is back. USF had a winning record last year, opens up with number 25 Boise State. I tell you, we could have some really good football back here in Florida from all those schools if things kind of fall in place.
I just want to clarify something. Bill is such a gamer. I did not tell him I was bringing up that high school skit. Okay, so I apologize. I owe you a cold one after that.
Okay.
I'm sorry for that. All right, so Labor Day, let's go over your picks then. Okay.
I tell you what I find, and I don't know how they do it. You've been doing this longer than me. These guys in Vegas, somehow they're dialed in because you look at you. I don't know how they know. So I was looking at the spreads. Bama 13. Listen, if they can, if FSU lose, well, if they win, that's one thing. If they lose in single digits, that's huge. Again, coming off of 2 wins, Notre Dame's only a 2.5 point favorite. I do like Notre Dame. I think Beck's $4 million man. But I think Notre Dame is on a mission. Gosh, listen, we lost to Georgia Southern a couple of years ago, but Long Island, I didn't even know they had a football team. So
I didn't know either. Look, I did this segment with Tim Walters.
Uh-huh.
He had to tell me what the mascot was. Because I'm thinking, dude, I'm not kidding around when I say this. Long Island University, I'm thinking like, wait, you have a football team?
I know.
I'm thinking basketball. But
lacrosse,
then I'm thinking, yeah, lacrosse or like they're the Islanders of hockey. That's what I'm thinking. The Islanders. They're Sharks. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So, all right. So let's go over this. So you're taking Notre Dame over Miami.
I think Notre Dame's going to pull that out. I think they're really strong this year. I think Bama's going to pull it out. UF, God forbid if, UCF, Jackson State, I'm sure they'll. USF, Boise State's number 25. I don't know if USF has that great of a following as far as filling the stands. If they fill the stands, they had a winning record last year, 7-6. I got to tell you a quick story. My son's stationed 45 minutes from Boise. When I heard he was going there, the first thing I told him, I got to see the blue field. I got to go to Boise. And so we went to town, the whole family, his kids and everything, and we were walking around town. They were doing some construction. I'm peeking through the fence, I'm taking a picture. I mean, that's how much I just love college football. And then we saw a game a couple of years ago. You got the Rockies in the background. So I like Boise. I've always been a Boise State fan. I mean, listen, that Fiesta Bowl win over Oklahoma, I could watch that every day. So I think Boise State will pull that out. But Miami, again, Carson Beck got hurt last year. We don't know. I mean, is he going to be the Carson Beck that won a national championship? I don't know.
He's been injured this whole time. So we don't know. And look, it's a first game. Another one. We were talking Florida State, Bama. Hey, another one. You're on national TV. It's Sunday night.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be watching that.
Exactly. And that's, it's funny. I listened to I'm missing my Pat McAfee fix right now. I got the U.S. Open on, but I listen, and they, Paul Fonbaum talking about, Alabama's not back, Robert. They're ranked 8th, so I guess they're okay. And it's funny as I look at the top 10, I think of the 1980s: Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama, LSU, Miami. The cream of the crop starting to get back up there like they were, 15 years ago, but. That would be huge for Florida State if they could pull that out. Again, it's one of those games, if they're still in it in the fourth quarter, you're right, Mark. They're at home at night on Sunday. Everybody's watching. Bama better go into the fourth quarter with a good lead or anything can happen.
I was at the game in 2017 when the turnover chain destroyed Notre Dame on national TV. One of the craziest crowds I have ever been around. There was this feeling in the parking lot going through the tailgate where we're going to kick your butt.
Wow.
Remember, that's a pro crowd because they played in NFL stadium. Though it's not, like you were saying, I'm on the campus of Boise State. No. That is an adult crowd. South Florida, we love the Hurricanes. We're going to destroy Notre Dame. And they did. Before I let you go, and I appreciate coming on.
Sure.
You got the Gator head behind you.
Yeah.
Why are you a Florida Gator fan?
So, same reason I'm a Virginia fan. You and I have a little connection. I think you were up in Charlottesville, and I'm from Lexington, and so of course, we moved down to Florida when I was a year old. So pretty much, but we go to Virginia all the time. So Virginia, my dad liked Virginia. Florida, let's be honest. Back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s, they were the team. And listen, my dad took us up there. I saw McGriff and Alvarez and, all those guys. Went to Florida. Now, I got a 9-year bachelor degree. Florida is where I got my education. UCF's where I got my diploma. So didn't quite. But there was just no question. I've just always. But I will say I've mellowed. I like to see Florida State and Miami be successful. And one thing I worry about with now we're going to be playing 9 games. The ACC is not going to be far behind because, they want to go to 28 teams and the Big Ten saying, well, we play 9, conference team. You only play 8. I don't want to lose that FSU game. I don't want to use Miami every now and then. in the paper today, we got UCF coming up in 2030, 2033. But let's be honest. You got 9 conference games. You know, we got the hardest schedule in the country. You're going to play a Florida State and a Miami and a UC. You can't do that. So, you know, we lost Miami years ago, which on one hand, I'm glad because they were beating the heck out of us all the time. But we're going to start losing. You know, is Clemson going to play South Carolina every year if it goes to 9? I don't want us to lose that, but it might not be year in, year out. It might be every couple of years. But I hope those rivalries still stay.
I'll just tell you this. If you ask me the question, what's the one game I want to go to this fall? Oh, I'm going. That Florida-Texas game is going to be insane. I've been hyping it since January. I think every NFL prospect's going to be there. Like scouts. It's going to be. I'm trying to think biggest. I think it'll be the biggest game in the swamp since 2021 when they hosted Alabama. I think it's at that level.
Yeah, and I don't think Texas has been there, you know, and it's funny. I look at their schedule and people predicting 9-3. And I have to say, I agree with a lot of some of the, predictors. At LSU, I think is going to be our hardest game. I mean, it's LSU. It's at night. It's Saturday. No disrespect to Texas. I like our chances playing them at home. Between Texas, Miami, Texas A&M, LSU, if we can knock 2 of those off and hopefully win the first 2, I think that'd be a good showing. But I got to tell you a little secret. I got a buddy of mine that told me last week he can get me to an Ohio State game on the field. And first thing I looked up was Penn State. I'm going to be out of town that weekend. So listen, I got to go to the Horseshoe. And then I got another buddy, and I was texting him and saying, I see he's an Ole Miss guy, lives out there. I said, we're coming out there. Hey, you got a place to stay. I got a sweet spot in the Grove. I'm like, be careful what you ask for. So I'm like you. It's time to check some boxes and go see some games that otherwise I wouldn't have a chance to see.
My official statement of what teams do I root for in the state of Florida, I'll root for everyone except the Georgia Bulldogs, who I hate with all my heart. and I think this is going to be the year. They're going back to Jacksonville for the last time before the renovations, and Florida's going to win this year and beat Georgia.
Did they decide where are they going to play? Did they pick?
They did. 1 year's going to be in Atlanta. At the Mercedes-Benz Dome, the Falcons play.
Right.
And then next year, it's going to be in Tampa Bay, where the Bucks play.
That's So, and I'm glad you brought that game up. And I've been to plenty of those games. To go to a state, and I guess Texas, Oklahoma might be the same way because it's a neutral site.
Yeah.
But how many games at whatever level do you go to where it's split right down the middle, half and half? You're not the away team sitting up in the corner of the end zone somewhere. That's what makes it special. There's just nothing like it. You've got 40,000 on one side, 40,000 on the other. And if you lose, you're getting your chops busted as you walk down to your car. That's just a special game, win or lose. Of course, hopefully win. But the way they have it like that, it's great.
I went to that game 2 years ago, and I got there 3 hours early so I could actually get to the stadium and park the car.
I know, right?
Because I know it's like you're coming from here. It's only 2.5 hours to drive up 95.
I know.
But on game day, you're going to be stuck somewhere in St. Augustine unless you. The other one is Florida State.
Yeah.
You don't get there early.
Yeah.
You're stuck on the turnpike trying to get 75. It's awful. I know. I'm giving you my traffic report. Bill, before I let you go, how can we check out Pressbox Overtime?
So either I picked a name that's really good or I picked one that nobody likes because it was available everywhere, but it's simply Pressbox Overtime, YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And I certainly appreciate you letting me do the shout out. Again, hopefully we'll have a game this Friday. And again, we're looking at doing some sports that maybe other people don't cover, maybe some teams that they don't go to. And we just enjoy doing it. And we love the feedback. And it's just 2 retired guys living the dream.
Yeah, you and me will team up. We will do some senior citizen living center pickleball tournament.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Come on, Dolores.
Lawn bowling or jarts or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I'll get you back on. We'll actually talk about what games actually happened instead of previewing. We'll do that.
Great.
Bill, have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, you too, my friend. Have a good week. Thanks for having me on.